The topic which I am going to handle is basically, how to cut the cost of medical equipment. Because when we are talking about the small hospitals, wherever possible, we can try to cut the cost of equipments, and how we can do it and how we can achieve it. That is what I am going to tell you. Yeah. Cutting of the cost can be done by the following methods, like ensuring the equipment fit to your practice. These are the topics on which the whole presentation will be given, and evaluating the return on investment. I will explain what is return on investment when we come to that particular page, and facing procurement. And the fourth one is the lowering of capex by outsourcing or leasing or pay-per-use or using refurbished equipments, or even going in for Indian made equipments which are equally good like a, important one. As you all of you know that the medical equipments always forms a large component of a hospital project cost. It can go even as high as up to 60% for a very high-end hospital. But when it is a small hospital, it can even start from around 25% to 30-35% of the total project cost, because many of the equipments are very costly, as you can see in this slide, like Linac, which is costing around 10 crores to 30 crores. It goes down. So to ensure that we are keeping within the budget, the first thing we have to look at is the fit for practice, because it is we used to see among the doctors or among these small hospitals that they want to have everything in this place. So that is not a good practice to follow, because when we are doing like that, you will not be able to cut down the cost, and we finally end up with a lot of issues. So instead of that, what we have to do is that we have to ensure that whatever equipment we are going to buy is in line with your vision, mission, business model, goal, strategy, etc. All these hospitals' vision, mission, or business model, goal, strategy, etc. you can derive from the feasibility studies, because feasibility studies will give you an overall view on the market conditions, etc., which will help you to define all those kind of things. And availability of this, and availability and the cost of the skilled staff. Even when you are going for some of the equipments, you have to ensure that there are good number of trained staff who can handle those equipments, because we have seen some of the hospitals, they are buying very high-end equipments and there are no staff to operate it. This is because especially true with smaller cities or smaller towns. So we have to ensure that sufficient number of people are always available. And another thing is that availability of the spare parts. Some of the equipments you buy, if the parts and consumables are not available or the cost is high, then also it will be an issue. And technical support system, like you are getting the services, and they comes and does all those things, preventive maintenance, everything. So that technical support system should be available. And the ease of upgradation, because that now the world is moving very fast with the technological advancements in various segments, including medical equipments and the treatment, etc. So you have to see that today what is important, after 2 years or something like that, it can become obsolete. Another new one would have replaced the thing. So we have to see that there is ease of upgradation. So keeping all this in mind, these are all the things which you have to keep in mind. So just because somebody else, my friend is having one particular type of equipment, I should also go. It should not be like that. We have to see that what is fit for our practice and the objectives. So that is one of the method. And also side by side, you may also have to do the financial evaluation, like acquisition cost. Acquisition cost is not just the purchase cost. There are several other elements. The actual cost of the equipment may be a tip of the iceberg. There are so many other things like transportation cost. Transportation cost will be very high when you are buying it from abroad. If the equipment has to be shipped from the abroad, the cost will be very high. So that also we have to look at the time also, it will be there taken. And demand analysis, again, we have to see whether this kind of equipment, what I'm going to do, whether it meets the demand or whether it is not having that demand. So you have to see, and even the demand analysis, we can get it from the, a part of the demand analysis, you are getting it from the feasibility study. And after that, then in your practice, how it will be. So that is what you have to look at. And feasibility and viability studies, yes, we have talked about it for each and every equipment. And opportunity loss, this is very, very important, because nowadays you can look, see that instead of cost per bed, it has gone to cost per square feet. How are you going to use this square feet? Because the land is scarce and the building and all those things are limited. So how are you going to use each and every square feet of that building? That is also important. So, for example, you are putting up a facility here using around 200 or 500 square, 500 or 2000 square feet of area. If I am instead of putting this, if I am putting another facility in the same square feet area, what is my return on investment? So you have to look at that way also. Rather than being emotional, you have to be more rational in this. So we'll talk about opportunity loss. So we have to look at the opportunity loss as a very, very important factor that is based on revenue per square feet. And I was talking to you about ROI. It is nothing but return on investment for all the major equipments and the facilities, etc. So what is ROI? ROI is nothing but it is one of the financial matrices that can measure the economic viability of an equipment or maybe department or for the whole hospital also. For example, if you're looking at how you can calculate the return on investment, is basically like, you take the entire, the revenue, and from their revenue, you have to minus all the expenses, including all the cost, like, staff cost or maybe the, material cost, etc. and rental cost, everything you have to take into consideration. Then you have to arrive at the net revenue. And from the net revenue, then you have to divide it by the upfront cost. Upfront cost is not only the purchase cost, you have to look at all the things like, purchase cost and the acquisition cost, transportation cost, training cost. Training also sometimes it will not come free. Some of the equipment they will ask, charges for the training also or installation. So you have to look at that. So all those kind of things. So net revenue minus upfront cost multiplied by 100, that gives you the ROI. So normally it is, represented in terms of percentage. So in this case, to improve the ROI, what you have to do is you have to keep the upfront cost, that is the denominator, to the lowest level, so that you will get maximum what you call the ROI. So to achieve this, you have to go through all the equipments, each and every one, see the ROI, and then prioritize the equipments for the department based on the ranking of ROI in a phased manner. And this is a typical one which we have done it for one of our clients. You can see that there are various departments starting from oncology, general surgery to the critical care. So what we have, see, if you're looking at the, blue color, that shows the revenue at full capacity. Full capacity means if you have planned for a 50-bedded hospital, it will be when you are achieving minimum of 80% of the 50. So that is normally called as or considered as the full capacity. So what will be the revenue? That blue color shows the revenue, and the orange color will show you the direct equipment cost. What is the cost? So if you look at, for example, if you take the oncology, you can see that the equipment cost is somewhere around 85 crores. Whereas these are all in lakhs, so it is 85.56, and then the revenue is only 110.86. Okay, so and when you are comparing with the critical care, you can see that the equipment cost is very less, that is 622, and the revenue is 5874. So if you look at the ROI also, you can see that it goes like this. This is the ROI going 0%. It goes gradually in various departments. You can see how it is moving. And for the critical care, the ROI is 109%. So what you understand from this is that, okay, the critical care has got much more or the maximum ROI in this study. So that way, for your convenience, the next slide shows an easier understanding. Now we have shown in a graphical method from the oncology 0% to the critical care 109%. So based on this, if you are having a limitation of funds, or maybe you are saying that, okay, phasing, what you can do is you can go for around 5 or 3 or 4 or 5 departments based starting from the highest one to the lowest one initially, and then later you can slowly expand to the other districts. This is one of the example where you can see this. This is equipment 1. Maybe it may be a USG. If the USG equipment, just for an example only, USG, if it is giving different companies, brand means different companies. For example, it could be USG from a G or Philips or any companies for that matter. And you can see how, I'm not saying that, okay, this is GA or this is this one. I'm just giving an example. There are different models available. So if you see one particular equipment, you can see one is 180, another is 120, and another one is 90. So what, obviously you may have to go consider this. Similarly, there are different equipments and for different departments. So you can prioritize from here also. And phasing of procurement. What is phasing? This is a topic. What is phasing? Basically, phasing is a structured process which requires now to analyze the need assessment, rollout plan, equipment selection, procurement. When you are doing the feasibility study, along with the feasibility study, you will also be doing the rollout plan. So you can phase the procurement purely based on the rollout plan, which you have got it from these feasibility studies. And this approach will ensure an efficient utilization of the resources, and also it helps in cutting the cost. So what you can do is you can do it as phase 1 or phase 2 or phase 3. And lowering the Capex, that is another method of reducing, because if you look at, again, you can keep the ratio in mind, the ROI ratio. So the denominator is the upfront cost. How we can reduce the upfront cost? If you are reducing the denominator, then your ratio will be more. There are certain methods. By one of the method is that, okay, now you can lower the Capex by outsourcing or leasing, paper use, using refurbished equipments or rentals, or maybe even you can go for the medical equipments. So the first thing is outsource. Outsource, as you all aware, is like, it is delegating tasks to a third-party specialist who is specialist in that side, who has got the equipments and who will bring with the equipments, or who have the trained staff, etc. And it's basically meant for cost savings and also for getting their specialized expertise. So in case if you are not having specialized experts with us, then we can rely on them. And normally there are 2 types of outsourcing happening. One is outside the hospital. They may be having this thing outside the hospital, and they may put up a small collection center or something like within the hospital. And another is that the entire setup, we provide the space and they will come and put up the entire facility inside. So these are the 2 types of outsourcing which are commonly available in this. And so if you look at it, is ideal for high Capex items, lab and imaging, and it is easy for upgradation also. Another way of doing is operating lease. So when you are talking about lease, there are 2-3 types of leasing. One is finance lease, or otherwise it is also called as capital lease. It is almost similar to the bank loan or something like. But operating lease is differing from the finance lease, which will be much beneficial for the hospital. In this case, the hospital enters into a contract with the financial services company, who in turn will purchase an equipment from a dealer or the medical equipment manufacturer. He pays it and buys it, and then he allows the hospital to use it. So once the payment is done, the equipment supplier will be installing the equipments at the hospital, and he will take care of the maintenance and training and all sort of things, calibration, etc. He will do it. And so the as per the agreed contract, they will be paying an agreed monthly lease amount to the financial services. So this is the way. So the hospital doesn't have to invest anything on this. So they are having, lease agreement. So based on that, they will be doing it. And at the end of the this lease agreement, there is an option wherein the hospital can ask for getting the equipment at that maybe at a fair market rate. It's not like the high value you don't have to give it. It's a fair market rate. You can get it. That's an option. If you want to exercise that, you can exercise. Otherwise, you can leave it to them. The financial service company will take it. So this is operating lease. So operating lease, since it reduces the capex, you will get a higher thing. Similarly, the pay per use. This is a model where the hospitals pay for only for the use. If they are using 10 treatment procedure, etc., then he is only paying for that 10 procedures at a pre-accepted rate from the company. So company will bring all the equipments, and they will also provide you the consumables, etc. And we have to provide the space, and the hospital will do all the tests and all those kind of things. And finally, there will be an agreed, pre-approved or pre-agreed rate. So you have to pay that pre-agreed rate to them, and you will be charging a different amount, which is definitely higher than what this agreed amount, so that that becomes your profit. And this is very easy. You can reduce the upfront cost, as well as you can also get access to the advanced technology. Because again, if you want to change it, you can ask them, okay, I have to change this. I have to go for a higher capacity or higher specs equipment. So that is easy for pay-per use. And only the disadvantage is that pay-per use, only very few companies or very few equipments, they are allowing it, which can be measured, where the number of scans or number of this thing can be measured. There only it will be possible. Another method is using refurbished medical equipment. Nowadays, many companies are offering refurbished equipments at a cost of around 40 to 50% of the new one. So while going in for refurbished medical equipment, you have to ensure that, okay, it gives you a good product, not only the good product, but also offers you a good services, and spare parts will be provided. So it is always better. In that case, it is better to go with a OEM, that is original equipment manufacturer. So that will ensure that at least the spare parts are available, and service are provided much better. And it is almost, when they are giving you, they will not only refurbish, they will also upgrade, and then only it will be given to you. So it is almost equivalent to a new one. So that is also one thing. And one more method is there, where now you can take it for the rental medical equipments, which is ideal for short-term users. Many people are doing this rental, like, small equipments, like even nowadays, laparoscope is available, arthroscope is available, endoscopy is available, FFR is available. So it depends upon the city where your hospital, city or town, or the location where your hospital is located. So the only thing is that, okay, you have to see whether it is available in your area. If it is available in your area or nearby area, then you can look at. And another method is, you can go in for made in India products, like, it is as good as imported at a very, very lower cost, and lower transportation cost, reduces capex, saves foreign exchange, which is very, very important for the country as a whole. And When it is manufactured in India, there will be service staff will be available and spare parts also will be available. With all those things, it improves the ROI. And I can give you, because we recently we have had an interaction with some of the good companies who are providing. One such company or one such organization is AMTZ, which is Andhra Pradesh Medtech Zone, which is a government initiative where it is sprawled in around more than 2,000 acres of land. I think it is more than that. And they provide everything, it is like a park where people can come and do research and develop things. And approximately around it is one of the world's largest medical technology manufacturing cluster with over 100 companies working on research, development and production of life-saving medical devices, etc. And they are also constructing a hospital. They already have a hospital. They're constructing a hospital for around 2,000 beds, but already 500 beds is active. It is functioning, and where all these manufacturers or the research can be done on the patients who are all available there, because it is very difficult in India. It is very difficult to do the clinical trials. So here they are also providing the clinical trial facility so that everything becomes more easier. And they have various categories, equipments belonging to various categories like mother and child care, radiology, critical care equipments, lab and diagnostics, all those, most of the things they are having it. And the cost is also very, very less. When we have discussed with them, for example, an MRI is available, 1.5 Tesla MRI is available at around 3 crores against an imported one by leading companies. It is costing somewhere around 7-8 crores. So you can get it at almost, and they are guaranteeing also that the performance is equivalent to the imported ones. So that is one thing, and they are also providing iLab, that is Internet of IoT, Internet of Things, that AI facilities, etc. The lab also they are providing. The excellent facility they are providing, and they are also giving a technology transfer. So the equipments which are coming out of that is excellent. So you can always depend on that. So summing up, we can see that, okay, how we can do all those things, what are the various things with respect to the comparison with operating laws, whether to buy or go for operating lease or rental or outsource, etc. So if you look at the various headings, when this is ownership, only in the case of buying, the ownership is in the name of the hospital. All the other areas, it is on the operating lease or rental, etc. It is always with the lessor or those companies, not in the hospital. IT benefits, yes, the buyer gets the depreciation benefits, and whereas in operating lease, etc., you get the lease charges or the rental charges as the expenses, which you can write off in the, you can consider in the, profit and loss account. And suitability, if you're looking at when it is a long-term use, it is better to go for buying. And operating lease is fit for mid-term, and rental is again shorter term. Outsource is again mid-term. And frequent upgradation, when an equipment needs frequent upgradation, very, very frequent, then buying it is very difficult, because once you have purchased, it is in your this thing, you cannot easily throw it away. Whereas in operating lease and rental and outsourcing, it is possible with much, without much difficulty. It is possible. You can ask them to, provide the new one. And maintenance, again, except buying, except in the case of buying, it is, everything will be taken care of by the buyer, the seller itself, or the lessor or the renting company, so that you don't have the headache of going in for the maintenance. So that is also included in that. And the risk, when you are buying, the risk is on the hospital, and the other like an operating lease, rental, outsource, etc., it is not in hospital's head. And insurance, again, in the buying case, hospital have to buy, invest for that insurance also. But whereas all the other cases like operating lease, rental, outsourcing, etc., you don't have to. Insurance, you don't have to pay. And so again, summing up, how to decide on buy or operating lease or rental or outsource, this is a table which will give you an easy understanding. If it is a good number, very high number of case loads, if you are very, very sure, then you can go for buying the equipment. And if it is medium type of cases, then you can go for operating lease. And the numbers are very less. The case loads are very less, then you can go for rentals or outsource. And if you look at the, buying, it shows that, okay, no, it gives you, it is the most economical on long-term use. And operating lease, we are looking at, if it is frequent upgradation is there, then it is suitable for operating lease as well as rental and suitable for frequent upgrade, for the outsource. But whereas looking at the size of the equipment or the heavy equipments, etc., high-end hospital, capital, etc., then it is better to go for buy, because it is very difficult to change or transport, etc., in between. But otherwise, if you look at all the operating lease is good for, suitable for mid-term and small size to mid-term, small size to mid-size equipments for operating lease, and short-term use or the movable equipments in the rental, because they have to carry and bring it to your premises. So it is easier for those movable equipments. And then outsource, if you're looking at, is suitable for mid-size to long-term and all types of equipment, whether it is, heavy or whether it is, light, etc., because it all depends upon the number of years you are going to enter into the agreement. If the number of years are more, then they will even go for the, high capital equipments also. So this is what basically, like, it's all very, very, it's a very long subject, but I think, okay, I have been able to provide you with sufficient information as a basic information. How can you reduce the cost of medical equipment, which is customizable to your own practice. And yeah, any other doubts are there, then we will be, from your side, we will be handling it at the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Suresh.
Yeah.
I think, yes, in 30 minutes, you have done full justification to a very large and vast topic. Now we